1 minute. The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the program, September the 25th. You're with the Editor-in-Chief live with Leicester's Oil, your multi-ingredient omega-3 healthy aging supplement backed by thousands of satisfied customers. To get into it, 6 supplements in 1 capsule supports joint, heart and brain health. Take as directed, read the label about Health Auckland. Good evening, everybody. I'm Duncan, Garner. Welcome to the show. Tonight, the obscene porn being put in front of our kids. Sit down today and watch all the porn available in New Zealand. And I think it's something like 160 years that you'll be sitting down watching it for, so it's quite a long time. So Holly Brooker and Joe Robertson have, on your behalf and on behalf of your kids, been doing something about it at the hard yards. They have had some of this blocked getting into the country. That's good news. It's offensive, it's grotesque, it's live rape scenes, bestiality that remains. So why on earth doesn't the government do something about this like other countries are doing? So tonight, the truth. What are our kids seeing? How are they seeing it? What can be done about this? And how far is there to go? Joe and Holly are with us now. Evening. Good evening. Nice to see you. Where are we at? Where are we at now?
Oh, we're in a tricky place.
I bet we are.
You know, there's lots of good things happening and then there's lots not happening.
Yeah.
So I guess people are going to hear a bit of both tonight, aren't
yes,
they?
Yeah. Last time I saw you guys, you were making moves to get the government to block things coming to the country like porn. Have we had any progress on that?
We have had some progress. So, as you know, we've had a petition running calling for the government to improve the filtering system they use to block child sex abuse material,
Yes.
as well as rape. We'd like them to also look at rape, porn and bestiality.
I mean, we need a petition to get this. We need a petition?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Success, sorry.
So success that we've had is the government have agreed to adopt a block list with child sex abuse material that comes out of the UK called the Internet Watch Foundation.
Yes.
So that's immediately increased the URLs with this horrible content.
So we've seen stuff blocked then?
Yeah.
How many images do you think? How many, how do you...
Up to 30,000 URLs a day. It uses machine learning, uses hashing, web crawling, all the things that our filtering system doesn't use. So
Well
that's
done.
a really great breakthrough and we're thrilled.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When did that take place? When did it happen?
So they announced that probably 2 months ago at this point.
And it is working. It's in place.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be it's just a really big win because it also shows, I guess, a little bit more appetite for looking at the online space and going, what do we need to do better here?
But the fact that you had to do this,
Yeah.
and when it should have been done by some public official sitting in a job in that job, why wouldn't it be done that way?
I think that the public officials, I think they're overwhelmed. And that's been our experience in every single meeting, is that they're really, really overworked.
What do you hear? What do you see?
Well, they say that there's not enough hours in the day, or there's not enough people in the team. Child sexual abuse particularly is growing every single year. And it has, for the last 2 decades, let's say, that we've had the data. And so you've got growing amounts of material, increasingly grotesque actually as well in terms of its severity. And then now we currently have shrinking teams. You had the minister on in a conversation with her.
And they got rid of, I thought it was 2 or 3, maybe more people from that department.
So they're shrinking down all the departments by about 6%.
And she said it would be a better service as a result.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, how do you have fewer people and a better porn sort of service that makes sure you're stopping porn, but you have fewer people stopping it?
Well, they're just the child sexual abuse material, so it's not mainstream porn. That's a different subject.
But even fewer people. I mean, I find that ridiculous. Did you hear the minister's argument on that? Did you?
Yeah, we were disappointed about that because we've met with the digital exploitation team. They're an amazing team. They do such good work and they need more resourcing. Like Joe said, the problem is increasing.
Yes.
They need more investment, not people
fewer.
being taken away from the roles.
So what's left then? So I said 160 years of porn. Initially, I used to say about 89 years. And then it became 160. What is the truth now? Do we know?
I think the last time Pornhub released that data was in 2021, and they said it was 160 years.
Probably more than?
Yeah, I think it's more. I haven't looked at they stopped.
You die watching it, yeah?
Yeah, they stopped releasing. So Pornhub does what they call annual insights, and they don't do the same insights every year.
Right.
So you got a bit of a glimpse at that moment.
Right, because you are a researcher in the space too, aren't you?
Yeah, so I have spent many, many years on porn sites
Yeah.
and reading through material.
Interesting dinner party guest.
Oh, it's people either love it or hate it.
Yeah. Well,
So-
how do you when you tell people that you're a porn researcher?
Yeah, so either people are like, wow, really? Like, tell us about that.
What a
Or they
life.
just are like, okay, I'm going to go get some water.
You'd be numbed by it though, wouldn't you? You're looking at it, you'd be numbed by the stuff, wouldn't you?
It's amazing how your brain desensitizes over time. So if I've spent let's say a few weeks or a few months out of the content, and then I go back, I feel really taken aback. But if I'm in it every day for a little while, it's like nothing.
Can you, because we can talk about what we like here. The good thing about podcasting is there are virtually no rules. What's the worst stuff that you're talking about? Can you describe it?
I mean,
how would you describe it?
I don't think that's going to help anyone
No.
apart from.
Well, how grotesque is it? Is it bestiality and
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, it's you don't actually want the pictures in your mind.
No. Well,
The
no.
problem is that we sit around and we go, oh, that's gross and disgusting and everything, but you just do a Google search and you're there straight away. So it's not as though it's hidden somewhere in the dark web because it's gross.
Yes.
It's just in plain sight.
So how are our kids seeing this? How do they see it when they go on their all sorts of mirrored games and apps and things? Well, how do they see it?
Well, often kids are stumbling across it accidentally because they're kids are curious, they're looking up content, they might hear things being talked about in the playground and they want to find out what it is, what it means, and they will accidentally stumble across it. And, it causes a really traumatic reaction for them, but it also can spark curiosity. And Joe, as a researcher and therapist, can talk more about this. But, when you said that, you have seen so much of this content and get desensitized to it, that happens for our kids too. And we hear lots of stories about young people as young as 11 sharing really grotesque, really disturbing, horrific content through WhatsApp, and
do they know what
they're getting
sharing?
desensitized
Yeah,
to
do
it.
they know what they
and that's
even-
a problem.
Yeah.
No, they don't know. Often they don't know that what they're sharing is illegal. That's the real problem, I think, is that they don't get the severity. What we see amongst kids when they've been abused by a person in real life is that they often role play that out with other friends. And so this is what we see happen on the online space is that exact same thing, but in a slightly different way. So they see something, they're trying to make sense of it, and they're like, what is this? What's happening here? And so they share it. And so that's also the stumbling thing. It's not that they choose to. It's not a kid looking online and going, oh,
But it
show me
normalises
this.
stuff that should not be normalised for kids. It's not
No.
normal at all. But it normalises this odd, weird, out there behaviour, and then they go into relationships. And how often are they trying to replicate some of this stuff, thinking it's normal?
Yeah, and it's really upsetting for kids that don't want to be sent this content. We hear so many stories of kids, parents whose child has come to them, thank goodness, and said, my friend sent me this really horrible stuff, and it's really upsetting for them. So we've got the kids that are looking for it and are sharing it, and we've got kids that are stumbling across it. We've got kids that are being sent it, and they don't actually want to see it.
Yeah, and so does this just pop up? Is it like just pop up? Because my son's on his phone a lot more than ever. Is it popping up for him? How would I know?
Yeah, so you won't know. That's the first thing.
He hasn't told me.
comprehend.
If you don't
His
have a
14-year-old boy
filtering
hasn't told me.
system.
Yeah.
Yes. So commonly content it won't come up. Historically, when I was on the internet, when I was a teenager, at least, you would get an actual ad pop up.
Yes.
And that's
It's a
not
long
really,
time ago, isn't it?
Yeah, unless you're on if you're on a
dial-up.
legal streaming site.
Yeah.
So if you're illegally watching sport or you're illegally watching TVs or movies, then yes, you will still get a pop-up.
Right.
But if you're just on mainstream sites, then it's usually through the chat function that someone will send you something. Or you can be like on YouTube, for example, and the recommended video, or I've seen illegal content, actually child sexual abuse material, in the comments of a YouTube video.
What's the point? Why? What are they trying to do? So the people this is human made. This is not AI yet. But this is someone's making this, right? And someone's sending it. A human is doing
Well,
this.
sort of. So you've also got kind of a bot system of where can I put content all over the internet. I call
Right.
it breadcrumb.
Oh, yes, right.
Like, so if I've got this illegal piece of content, or legal if it's just mainstream porn, and can I just throw it everywhere possible? And it's not necessarily a human making those
So
decisions.
scattergun, right?
Yeah, so I once saw a mainstream supermarket brand in New Zealand, the one that we would all know, and it had an ad on Pornhub.
Oh dear.
And I just thought,
How did that?
I
How
jumped
they
on
buy
there.
that space? Who?
Yeah, and I thought, oh gosh, I bet they don't know that this is happening. And
Did you
so,
track it down? Did you?
yeah.
Yeah.
So contact them. Oh no, we had no idea. Well, they said, and
Do you think it was?
no, I think that people just buy ad space, and then
Yes.
that gets it's breadcrumbs, right? It just goes everywhere,
Oh, my
and that's
dear.
what the porn industry does it as well.
Yeah.
It just throws content everywhere.
Well, if people think that, then and you can get hold of us as well on TikTok and on YouTube. Send us a message. Any questions to Joe and Holly, just let us know. But I went home to my 12-year-old and he had his mates around with him, and I said the word Pornhub. I just surprised them with it after talking to you guys, and they all went. And stopped and said, "What do you know?" And I said, "You guys know."
What do you know?
Yeah. And what do I know? What do you know? Yeah. I don't know much. But I said I'd never been on the site, and they said, "I said, have you?" And they went, started playing basketball again. So their denials were their confirmations. But these
It's a
were 12.
really challenging time for young people to grow up in
Isn't
with
it
this
though?
digital era. It's so different from when we grew up, and it's so important to have conversations about it with our kids.
This now dominates my conversations, both on air and in life.
Yeah.
Is the amount of time they're on their devices, what they're seeing, what it's doing, what the rewiring of their brains and the material that they get. Brains that aren't developed yet,
Yeah.
but adult themes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and we've known for a long, long, long time that what we see impacts us. That's why we took smoking out of
Correct.
movies.
Yes.
Right? So we all as a society recognised, and there was research on, okay, when we see things a lot of times, that's what we believe.
Yes.
And so
Smoking was cool. Remember the movies? On my first rugby trip ever was to Australia, and I sat in the smoking section as a 12-year-old.
oh wow.
With people smoking away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All us boys, 30 boys.
Gosh.
But that was, and our parents sat in there too, and no one blinked an eyelid.
So I think we're a little bit still in that space around porn.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, we know it's everywhere. We're all essentially sitting in the smoke of it. So it's like ruminating all around us and nobody really batting an eyelid and nobody really doing anything.
So is that because, now why is that?
I think because it's really uncomfortable to talk about. It's uncomfortable to talk about sex, let alone porn, and the fact that
I
people
agree.
are maybe masturbating to it. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot of layers.
And people don't want to make a fuss. They don't want to draw attention and be seen as a prude.
Yeah.
Is it a
And-
man's issue? Is this a men's thing?
No.
No, I wouldn't say that either. I mean, Joe is obviously the expert here, but I think from my experience, women are affected by it, not watching it as much as men.
I
Not
gotta s-
adult women as much. but teenagers.
Kids can go down rabbit holes here, and they can really affect their schooling, and they can get kicked out. And I'll tell you how. Last week, I received a story from a person in Wellington involved with the school. I won't name the school, but there was a boy who was on a porn site, watching it in his classroom, and his mates were filming him watching it, but he wasn't just watching it.
Oh, gosh.
Exactly. I'm not going to say anything more. And in the middle of that act, the teacher walks in.
Oh.
All those boys are gone from that school.
Oh, I've heard of this exact same scenario.
But that to me is, I just can't contemplate even thinking about us doing that at school ever. It's a
No.
different
No,
generation, but this is
absolutely.
normalised.
And this is
Yeah.
why we have to talk about it, because this is what our young people, our children are facing. This is
Yeah.
the world that they are living in now.
Yes, and so it's normalised for them. So the phone is just like is part of. They have three hands. Right? The third hand is the phone.
Yeah.
For us, it's still a bit clunky.
And they're getting
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, well, I will.
yeah.
Well, what's my screen time? I think it's about 25 minutes here.
They're getting a lot of content sent towards them that they shouldn't be getting, and it's having real impacts on them.
And YouTube Shorts now is just.
Yeah, and we've got an industry that's unregulated in New Zealand. We've got a government that doesn't prioritise regulating the industry, so it's a free for all. And
What is such tasteless crap, and it's really damaging. And yet, the people in office and power who could do something, why don't we just ban this? Can you ban porn? Can you? Well, it's a stupid question, but I could make a stupid mistake by not asking it. So, can you ban pornography?
You could. I don't think that would go anywhere particularly productive. But what we could do, probably the most effective thing we could do in the whole country would be to do age verification. So,
Do you reckon we can do that?
Yeah, we absolutely can. So we use age verification all the time,
Yep.
and so whenever we unlock our phones with our faces, we're using a type of AI to verify ourselves, and we can apply that. So
Yeah,
we
of
all
course we
seem
can
to
do
be,
this.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like we all seem to be okay with that in so many spaces, but not when it comes to online porn. It's bizarre.
It's one of these areas. I know. I think you're right. It's because there's certain things in society that are taboo. And one of them is sometimes talking about your parents' income with them, or it might be talking about your politics. And the other thing is sex and pornography. It's not. We've never come out of the darkness and the shadows. And I did a Today FM show on this a couple of years ago, and I asked people to be brave and talk about it. First call I got was a guy sitting in his office. His wife was downstairs, and he said, "I've got a problem. I need help." And he was a brave man, and it set the whole thing off for the day. And I walked away from that show 3 hours later, just like fizzing, because men had actually taken responsibility for some of their issues.
Yeah.
But they didn't know where to turn to because they were embarrassed.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's really hard. I sit with a lot of men in that situation.
And I think this is why it's hard for parents to talk about it too, because there's a bit of a shame. There's a stigma when you find out your kid's been seeing stuff. Not that we should be putting the blame on our kids, but people don't want to talk about it because their kid has been seeing some content that's uncomfortable or inappropriate, and we have to talk about it because it's not one kid's problem. They're all seeing this content.
Exactly. Then the school clamps down on them, and they might be suspended, or then everyone knows about that.
It's a bigger cultural, societal issue here.
Yeah, they're just having phones. So devices, you say we can ban this. Australia's looking at banning social media for under 16-year-olds. Quite brave.
I think we can age verify it to try and make sure that children aren't so easily able to see it.
Yes, the bestiality stuff, the really grotesque stuff that have you been able to achieve? So that's next on the agenda.
Yeah. So we're working towards that. We've got our oral submission for our petition in November, and
it takes time, doesn't it?
It's really slow.
How long have you been doing this for? 2, 3?
2 years.
2 years. Yeah. And
slow.
I mean, I've been talking about porn for a long time.
Yes.
And so we've got our submission in November where we'll say, hey, it's not acceptable that there's bestiality freely available for kids, and also rape videos. So usually the real rape of women, and sometimes.
So it's
men.
live rape.
It's not live. It's recorded.
Real time.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's on the internet.
Yeah. We have had some success with industry, so that's search engines, not removing content, but making it not top of the list, if that makes sense.
It's a very free market government, this. They don't sort of meddle in much. The media was collapsing, they let it collapse, and all sorts of things happen, and they're sort of very hands-off. The companies are closing because of high power prices, or they don't get involved. Have you found that a little bit disinterested?
Yes. Definitely.
That's appalling. I'm calling Luxon out on this.
We've never spoken to him directly, if we can give him some credit there.
So who have you spoken to directly?
Oh, so many MPs.
Yeah.
And actually, even when we have a conversation, we sit down with people one-on-one, they are engaged, right? And they do agree.
They are.
But I think what's hard is that consistently comes back to, it's like, well, who would do that? And where would the money come from? And where would we find the time?
Is it expensive to block stuff?
So they'd need to develop a new, what we call machine learning model. And
great, this model, let's do it.
Yeah, totally.
Do you have any costings on this?
We don't have a costing. Apart from that, it would be upwards of $200,000, which is not very much.
Come on.
Honestly, the
$200,000.
Cost of mental health implications for our young people, sexual violence implications for our young people ongoing.
God, it's so much more costly than that.
It's a drop in the bucket.
$200,000.
No, upwards. So that's the minimum. That's what somebody said. They said,
200, maybe million?
Maybe.
Do you know, in terms of the public, and I follow all this stuff around money and government for years, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's the cost of a state lunch for some visiting dude from Niue or something,
Yeah.
That's the truth. All for that. So they can't put cost as a barrier. So that's out. What's the reason? You can't put cost?
They think they will continuously put cost as a barrier.
No way. It's not justifiable.
I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
I'm saying what I know is coming
cost
for
and
us.
resourcing.
Well, what about the cost and the damage?
Exactly.
Psychological damage. What would you say to mums? So mums, this and dads, but mums first, listening to this, and they're at their wits' end with their kids' phone use, and there are so many of us that are like this. How do you get kids to put their phone down? What do you guys do in your lives?
Ooh, okay. So, I'd say as a parent, get educated. Find out what our kids are actually being exposed to. Understand that the Light Project is a great website to actually, understand the porn landscape. Delay as long as you can, giving your kids access to a phone, access to a device, access to social media.
What age do you recommend? Because a lot of parents get the phones because they want to be in touch with their kids.
I don't know why you want to be in touch with them.
I know.
Joe's like, I can't wait to
Oh my gosh. Why do they need to talk to me?
What do you want to hang out with them for? They don't want to hang out with you.
I think
It's true,
we
isn't
do have a culture where we're giving our kids phones way too young. They're just with the full access to the internet on that. We just have to move away from that. And
We
I
give
think
it to babies. We give them to toddlers.
I think there is a culture that globally, there's a bit of a shift happening,
Yeah.
but we have to get on board with it because
16.
the impacts are great. We've got the highest use in the world in New Zealand of screen time for our young people.
Have we?
Recreationally, we've
The
got
highest
one
use?
of the highest, I should say, 42 hours per week, and that was pre-COVID data.
Okay, so we've
That's-
also got some of the highest rates of anxiety now.
Yep.
And some of the
Mental health issues.
self-harm has
Yep.
gone up 300% since 2010. Anxiety,
Exactly.
I looked at this last week,
So we
300%.
have to try and get our kids off screens, and we have to get them playing.
Yeah.
I know, it's a bit old school, isn't it? But
It's very old school. Let's
yeah.
bring back the 90s.
yeah, let's bring it.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Without the legal, without the legal,
let's
TLC.
yeah.
The
with
thing, and this is the
Ice
thing,
Ice
is that
Baby.
we do live in this tech era, and so we're not anti-internet. Well, I love
No,
the
but-
internet.
but-
There's some great
no,
things.
but it's our job.
with
See,
tech,
we're the
but
parents, right?
We have to balance it.
And we will look back in decades to come, and they will put research projects around this era, and they'll say this was the time that the world really moved in one direction. Like
Yeah.
we're all going through this evolution and revolution, technically. I used to do TV and radio. I now do this. So the world's changing.
Yep.
But for our kids, they're guinea pigs in this now.
Yeah. And I think it really is as a parent. It's really it's on us because the government, the industry aren't doing anything about it at this point. It has to be something that we actively talk about and actively manage. So what are our values in our family around tech? How are we going to manage this?
Yes. So
we
you
can't
have rules?
lock it down.
No.
We need, so you want my
Yeah,
personal?
yeah. But what do you guys do?
Well,
Because there'll be
my-
people that will take away because you're the experts, right?
Totally.
And I'm sure you're not perfect.
No,
I am.
absolutely not.
I'm really good.
yeah. I've never been a perfect woman.
I've had 2 kids homesick today, and there's been some screen time.
Yeah,
My
well, that's-
my oldest is almost 13, and he doesn't have a phone. He doesn't have social media.
Wow.
So I'm pretty strict in that regard. But I talk about it with my kids a lot, and I spend a lot of time with them. We play board games, we hang out, we go for walks.
Same,
So it
yeah.
takes time. You got to spend time with them
Yeah.
because if they're bored, they're going to want a screen,
And it's so crucial
and that
because
can be hard.
it's so crucial because the time thing is you've got little time with them.
Yeah.
Because
It goes so fast.
Well,
It
I
really
noticed
does.
This, yeah.
But
yeah.
that's really what they need is that connection is so valuable for them, that time. And, we can impart our values and our life.
And they love it.
They go, Mum, I don't need another life lesson.
Right. Yes, you do.
Like,
You
they're
don't
coming
get
at
a choice.
you. Yeah.
And over to our perfect one.
Oh yeah, no phones. I mean, my kids are all in primary school, so
Yeah, okay, so-
but they are asking when, and I'm not giving
Really?
them an age.
How old are they now?
My oldest is just about 11, and
Well, it's right on the cusp, eh? Yeah.
yeah, but I'm fine. I'm like, ask away. But for me, this is not about age. So I have said I'm not giving you an age.
Yeah, it's not negotiable either.
Yeah, so it's going to happen when I think that you're ready, and that's going to be when I see other kinds of behaviours. So it's not just about the phone.
Are you worried they're going to be left out of people's chat groups and interest groups and
Yeah.
things? Yep.
Yeah,
Because-
I am worried about that.
Yeah.
And so that's going to definitely inform our decision making, which is part of why I'm not giving an age. So if they can remain part of a cohort, which also delays phones, then I don't need to say, at 13 you're
true.
going to get a phone.
But this is getting
totally.
really selective now. They must have friends pick friends that don't have. This is getting tough for you.
No, not pick friends.
Well, no, but have friends that don't have phones. It's much easier.
Definitely one friend. Like, it's great if you can have one other peer that you can point to and say, they don't do it either. So, for example, we don't do sleepovers. So, because I've got a history of sexual abuse and as
Right,
a
yep.
therapist.
Yeah.
And so it's really great
interesting,
if
isn't it?
they
They don't
can
do-
point
yeah.
to another friend and go, they also don't do that. So I'm not the only one. And we will try and cultivate that as much as possible.
I've got a daughter who's very social, and she's got a couple of friends that live out of town. So we have Kids Messenger. She's only 9.
Yes.
We have Kids Messenger on my phone, and she's able to chat with her friend and video her friend, but it's on my phone, so it's on my terms.
Manage it all your terms,
Yeah, and I think,
And there are phones now that actually only text.
Yes.
Have you noticed these? Now, these have come out in the market in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, Holly's been involved in that.
Yeah.
the Kids Safe smartphone is
Yeah.
an awesome solution. So
Yeah.
Samsung collaborated with Safe Surfer, which is a filtering company, and I was involved with the launch of that. I do have one of those phones. We call it a family phone, and we keep it on the kitchen bench because we just don't have home phones anymore. If your kid's at home before you and they want to ring you, exactly, yeah.
The old dial.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so we've set it up so it just has calls and just has text, but as a parent, you control the app store, so you can decide what apps you want your child to have access
What's
to.
What's the best blocking or best monitoring app? Is because it changes all the time, and there's all sorts of things in the market.
Yeah.
But if you're a parent wanting to
We have
monitor,
a really good relationship with Safe Surfer as a company,
Right.
and we're not like paid by them or anything, so this is not
You're not paid at all.
endorsed.
Although I was paid to launch the phone.
Okay, thank you. Full disclosure. But
Full
I am not
disclosure.
paid by Safe Surfer to do anything.
Yeah.
But what I really like about them is that I know that if you're in a bind and you can't figure it out, you can pick up the phone and call them.
Yeah.
Because implementing technology on devices is really challenging.
and for a lot of people, well, especially of my era and age, they'll look at it and go, "How do I do this?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's too much of a
Yeah.
hump,
Yeah.
I think we've just spent a little bit of time talking about phones and ages, but I want to kind of pull that back a little bit and
Yes.
say that individual device use is still really high, even if your child doesn't have a phone.
Yeah, definitely.
So people are giving their kids iPads
Yes.
or giving their kids laptops in the bedrooms, and that is such a risky practice.
Yes.
So I understand some people have got those totally locked down, but most don't. Most are giving them their own phone or an iPad or a laptop in a bedroom. And we have year-on-year increases in children distributing sexual photos of themselves on platforms. And there's no way they do that from a lounge. So this is not
Keep it out
just
in the
about, this is not just about, oh, when's my kid ready for a phone? It's at what point do I start letting them have independent device use? And the delay, like Holly was talking
Yeah,
about,
so crucial.
delay, keep them in public.
It also
Keeping the
but
screens in an open space in the
because
house.
it's like that leads to self-harm or that sort of stuff, and leads to even worse results from that, because people are then, the kids are mortified that they've sent something. It
Yeah.
gets out to all the other kids, and they're at the school the next day, and well, you sent that picture of this, and it
Yeah.
must just be. And I know some cases where this has happened, and there's no going
Me
back from this.
too.
You post something, it's out there, it's on
Yeah.
their market forever.
Yeah, and that's not a naughty child. A child who does that has
Curious
been,
child.
No, they've actually been groomed. Like they're being abused.
Yeah.
They're not making a bad decision. They're being assaulted online and being kind of forced to make this choice, and then often threatened to make more content.
And because they get threatened, they get blackmailed.
Yeah.
If you, well, how does it work with the blackmail? We'll tell everybody if you don't keep quiet or something. Yeah.
We'll come for mum and dad, whatever it is. And so obviously a 15-year-old might not believe that, but a 9-year-old will. So if your 9-year-old is on Minecraft and they are able to talk to, I had a child that I spoke to recently who was able to talk to strangers from all over the world through PlayStation on a headset, told me that they had a boyfriend online. And that's just red flags everywhere. I said, where
Boyfriend online.
Yeah. And
What-
I said, where
Wasn't
do
she
you...
9?
Yeah, she was 9. Where do you chat to that person? And she's like, in my room, at home, after school.
Who is this creep?
Well, yeah, we don't know.
Exactly.
That's the point. But that is a child who's not being naughty. They're not doing the wrong thing. They're
But
doing what they were
self-blamed, aren't
able
they?
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, adults have allowed them to do this.
Yes. And some predator is going to take advantage of that. So that child was like probably 3 steps away from sending an image, in my view, my professional opinion.
Whereabouts do the police sit on this in terms of that sort of stuff? Are they resourced?
They put out a warning a few months ago this year, alerting the parents about the increase in sextortion of grooming on gaming and social media sites. So they're very aware that this is an increasing problem that we have to be aware of and we have to protect our kids.
But how
I
hard
don't
is it
know
to
about
prosecute
their
and find these? I
resourcing.
mean, where are they doing it? Who are these people? How many of them are there, and where are they?
We don't know where they are. I personally have not spoken to one as yet. But
Well, are they in Mount Roskill or are they in Mumbai?
everywhere,
You know?
everywhere.
I mean,
Yeah. What we do know that if you're a parent and you have this happen to you, just as a heads up, definitely don't throw the device on the ground. Don't shut it all down. Keep it up, keep it open. Get as much data as you can. Take that to the police because they usually have up to 250 victims in their lifetime of perpetration. So we want
that
to
one person.
that one person.
So can they track where and who they are?
I believe so. Yeah.
Will they then get into a conversation with them and pretend that they're a young person and they'll
I
try
think
and...
that's part of one
Good
of
on
the
them.
strategies.
Yeah, and they've had some success, haven't they, if you look at some of the headlines?
Yeah, and so again, like if your child, you find something, if they disclose to you that they've done something, that's not the time to yell at them. They've been groomed, they've been abused online.
Yeah.
And that is the time to then actually give them some agency back. Hey, if we take this information to the police, we can actually find this person. And that will mean that you will have helped protect other kids.
Yes,
So
and
give them
don't be
some
embarrassed
power.
about this. Get
Yeah.
to, you say reach out to... Is NetSafe useful in all this as well? Is it as an agency?
They have a role to play. They have an educational role. So if you jump onto their website, they answer, so many different types of questions
Right.
about online safety. They really act as, somebody put it really well to us recently. They said they act as good cop. So they hold a relationship with all the the platforms and providers, and we need that.
Yes, but what's these providers that send all this stuff out, that allow the stuff to be hosted? What is their intention? Are they in any way socially socially responsible bone in their body? No, you smiled at me. Yeah.
No.
So they don't pay tax. They don't have any morals. That's just it's gutter stuff.
And it's our kids that are being impacted by these increasing.
Yeah. Totally. So we play bad cop, Holly and I.
Okay, so and just so 2 years on, what can the public do for you? What do you need? What do you need from the public listening to this? Are you funded? What do you need? How do we help? How do we reach out? How do we reach out? People that are really concerned about this tonight, what do they do?
To be honest, we need people to be making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
The government will only move if they think enough people care.
We march for, what do we march for? We march for the environment. You see 50,000 people down the street. We've had another baby that's been killed in Wellington in the last 24 hours.
Oh, it's awful.
We very rarely march for our kids being killed every 5 weeks.
Yeah.
We sure don't march against pornography. I mean, we barely make a peep out of this, So I'd like to think that people. The reason I constantly do this is because as a father, I worry about it. I just think it's grotesque and it can change lives. And end lives, handled wrongly. So I support what you guys do. I just wonder how people just make a noise, isn't it?
Yeah, so they can follow us on Instagram, makes_sense_Aotearoa. And what we do is we send out please then. Can you visit? Can you come to this event? Can you send this kind of letter? Can you submit this kind of form online? That's a really, really great way for us to at least ask, in the moment when we need stuff.
Yeah, and stuff comes around too, because, it used to be that cycleways, no one really spoke about those in the 80s, but now it's cool. But electric cars, you don't be loopy, but now it's normal. And so things have their day.
Yeah.
And this is yet to have its day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As a topic?
Yeah.
There's an avalanche.
We're still in the smoking room.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
sitting
we're still
around.
in Durries,
And we're trying our best to make a fuss and make a noise and get attention because, like you're concerned about it, I think so many parents are, the parents that we talk to, but there's just not enough public noise about it.
There really isn't.
Do you want to share what we'd love schools to do?
You go.
What would we love schools to do?
Were you listening?
Yeah.
What, a school internet safe?
Oh, yes. Sorry.
I was like, Holly,
I had a moment. I was like,
Thinking out loud.
what? So we have some big concerns around the filtering functionality that the government is, providing in schools with filtered internet. There's a real assumption that we've found. We've been into a number of different schools, and there's an assumption that the internet is filtered to a level higher than it actually is.
Yeah.
And so what we need schools to do is actually go on student devices. Teachers, maybe parents can do this as well, which we've really encouraged parents to ask questions and, check student devices to check how effective the filtering actually is, because we have been into many schools and we've found that particularly like YouTube is a really common platform being used in primary schools.
Totally, yep, seen that.
And there's an assumption with schools that we have dealt with, teachers and principals, that it's being filtered. It's not being filtered.
Wow.
YouTube operates an automatic filtering system, so a lot of stuff gets slipped through the gaps, and you also need to turn it on to strict mode.
Go straight to schools.
Yeah, so classrooms all over the country. I actually didn't know this until recently. I found out that this was happening, that classrooms everywhere are using YouTube.
So the door's open. Well, effectively, the door's open and stuff's getting in there.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
so basic, isn't it?
and unfortunately, there's a kind of a misconception that that YouTube's being filtered by the system. It's not being filtered by the system.
And there's messages in here too. Tooks just said, and I appreciate it, Tooks, if your school has a Facebook page, it ain't filtered, which is pretty much every school.
Well, the social media, so that's why you want to check on a student device. So you want to check that what happens when you put in sex or porn or nudity or stabbing
self-harm,
or self-harm. What happens, and then can you just go onto YouTube and what happens when you put that stuff in? So what we found was that there was a lot of content available across all the devices we looked at.
Yeah, so it needs the filters to,
But the sad thing for me in all of that is that often the teachers just don't know.
They don't know.
So they would make different choices.
Well, hang on, they don't know. So, but who's above them? I mean, where's the head of
management?
Do you know what schools need? They need a head of technology, like a head of internet technology. You know, like chief information officer, or whatever they call it. You know.
Yeah.
So some schools have that. Bigger schools have that. Smaller schools tend to contract an external supplier. We spoke with one external supplier that didn't actually understand this either.
Why don't the primary schools come in as hub schools under the colleges? So you have a big college like Mount Albert Grammar, and then a couple of the smaller primary schools around it. They attach themselves and learn their knowledge and learn their ways. Does it not make sense?
I think what you've got to have is then either a principal or at a management level or a board going, hey,
It's principle driven.
like we need to know more here. You know, they're autonomous creatures. Schools.
But they're leaders because they have our kids for so long.
Totally, they do.
Every day they have captured our kids. You know?
And they need more support in terms of this online harm stuff.
Totally.
Because they're not IT experts. You know, we've just talked about how hard it is for us to set up filtering.
Yes.
When you've got a smaller school and it's on a teacher or a DP or a principal to manage the internet.
Well, I tried to get a principal
That's
to
a
Zoom
big
me the other day, and it
undertaking.
was just too much to be Zooming. So, what hope do we have? But I agree. God, get aggressive. We're being too passive.
Yeah, and we're really afraid to be annoying.
Yeah.
So that's a consistent theme I hear, particularly from parents, is I don't want to be annoying, I don't want to ask questions. Or as teachers, I don't want to be the difficult one.
Yeah, but smoking,
Yeah.
it wasn't annoying to disrupt smoking. If we're disrupting porn and bestiality, that's a public service.
Absolutely.
It's a health service.
Yeah,
It's keeping our kids alive.
Yeah.
It's making them better.
yeah. And it takes a little bit of aggravation.
Yeah.
Yes, well, be aggravating. Be an aggravating factor in their lives. Hey, great stuff. More noise needed. Great job, Holly and Joe. So all the messages are coming in. So
Oh, that's so lovely.
yeah, we've spoken for 30 minutes.
Time flies.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for coming in. It really worries me. I do this because I genuinely, as a father, as a parent, you think, oh, God, I don't know. I'd have no answers. So this was like a
Well,
refresher.
thank you for enabling us to make the noise.
When do you think that, totally, any time, when do you think the bestiality stuff will be blocked? What do you...
We are
The
going before
next
Select Committee in November.
Government.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Ask us in 2 more years.
So we're at least a couple of years away.
We've got an anti-regulation government,
Yeah.
and that's going to make it difficult
And they think that free society is a great society. Well, it's not always. Some parts, yes.
in some areas.
Not this one. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you for coming in. Awesome. Well said and well done.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, so a lot of feedback coming in. Great job, Holly. Great job, Joe. Yes, more noise is needed. Also, kids are using AI to make deep fakes. They are now the creators. Yep, we're getting the nods here. Mainly white guys, and they get off on this. I don't know if it's a race issue. Duncan, our age group invented this shit, so stop being lazy. Okay. Mums, put down your phones. You're too afraid to. If you're a parent who grew up in the 80s, you already bloody know what you have to do. Put your phones down. That's another good point, actually, before you go.
Totally.
We are the
Role modelling.
we're the role models. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're watching our behaviour.
That's key.
Put your phone down, you're saying. You're on the phone.
Drives me insane.
You've got babies that, their parents aren't making eye contact with them. That has huge developmental impacts on them as they grow. We have to put our phones down.
We do, don't we? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I say this every day now on this show.
Yeah.
It's almost like you guys don't want to go, but I better keep going.
There's so much more.
Yeah, I know. But we can do it again. They've even turned your mic off.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, and there's heaps of feedback coming through. I'll have a chat with Isaac shortly, but thank you guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, and there's lots of feedback coming in. God, how can Australia block porn and social media to certain age groups? Well, you can. You just have to be motivated and have people in the jobs that will do it. Motivated people. These guys are motivated, but where's the government on this? I thought Luxoff was a religious man. I thought $200,000 to develop something, maybe $1 million. It's just it's chicken feed. It really is. Right, I think it's time for some questions.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief. 1.
And number 1, how committed is this government when it comes to getting rid of porn from our society? Well, they can say what they like, but when it comes to cutting public servants, they got rid of a number of people who worked in the space of internal affairs. And then, once they were gone, said the place was being made stronger as a result. How on earth did they figure that?
2.
And number 2, why did Chris Luxon tell the ANZ to bugger off today? Because they suggested a capital gains tax was now due in New Zealand. Its time has come, the ANZ CEO said, to which Luxon sort of scoffed and said, I don't think so. Labor tried it and got done in the polls, and they've talked about it again and again and gone down in the polls. Do they ever learn? I think it's almost now too hard, like a taboo, to introduce one in New Zealand, despite the fact it's probably needed.
3.
And number 3, have you heard about the Katikati Coffin Club? Now, I hadn't heard about them until today, but they've got 400 members. They pay $10 for a one-time membership. Some have made pool table coffins, boats as coffins, $10 to talk about death and get ready for death. I mean, I love it. It could be worse. You could be dead. But the members love the chat. They love designing their own coffins, as long as they don't have to use it for some time, is what they tell me.
Duncan Garner, live.
And as a treat, I've got some pictures of these coffins. First of all, great chat with Joe and Holly. They're doing amazing work. If you can support them, please do. Isaac, you with me, mate? Isaac's my man. He's on the tools. Isaac runs the show. He runs all the technical side of it. He's brilliant. And Forrester,
thank you.
But he's on his own tonight.
Yeah, I'm running around today.
Aren't you? You've gone to one end of the control room and then the other.
I know, I'm just walking back and forward.
Are you all right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm
How
doing
many
great.
steps have you done?
I don't have a watch on me, but I wish I had.
Hey, how was that chat?
That was fantastic. I thought that they were really, really good.
Yeah.
They really know their stuff, and they.
It's worrying, eh?
Oh yeah. It's a massive issue. Like
It's getting worse and worse.
Like my age group is one that we kind of you don't want to say that we started it, but to a degree we did, and it's real upsetting to see it trickling down into the
What do you mean you
youngest
started it?
generation.
What does
Well,
that
no, we
mean?
didn't start it, but we were around with the rise of the internet. We
Yeah.
grew up with the internet.
It's,
and so
it's natural for you, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The coffins, the Katikati Coffin Club.
Yes, I'm going to put those photos up now.
A bit morbid, but these guys are great. So some of the coffins. So that's John. Yep. So John runs the show. He takes $10 off you, and he's the head of the coffin club. He's the treasurer. And then there are all sorts of other coffins as well. There's been the pool table coffin. There we go. The pool table coffin's a beauty. Don't you like that? It's sitting there forever. Yep. Hole in one. Now that's I don't know what that one is. That's a farewell. That's a nice little pretty one. So they made that coffin themselves. But the last one's got to be probably the best one. Or the pool table one was pretty good. The boat, the yacht coffin. You probably need to go 12 foot under with that one though, with the sail. Or the sail's collapsible, I'm told. I don't know. Just a bit of light relief really after a sort of a chat about porn. But that's pretty. It's a purple one. That's nice. See, they work in a workshop in Katikati, so they have once a week they're out in the shed, out about 12k out of Katikati doing that. It's cool, eh? Old people sort of keeping busy. Isaac, what would you have as a coffin? I'd say have a plain pine one, I think, with for and against. If you liked me, you sign something in the for thing, and against, hell and heaven. If you'd like me, you say something like
nice.
that. Yeah.
I wanted to, you could do one of those ones. I want to do one where you make sure your coffin's pointing due north. You know what I mean? If you get buried, just
Yes.
it's just something special.
Yes. Hey, tonight on Celebrity Treasure Island, so it's on now. So I'm about to put a scrum down against Waitangi.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good.
And I wouldn't be telling you this if I didn't do well. You know what I mean? Yeah. God, that chat is just sort of shaking me a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
You think that the government will do the right thing, but no.
Nah, it's slow rolling, and it's
It's too slow.
And you got to admit, like it's a tough beast to tackle, but the fact that they're doing nothing about it is very telling.
What are they saying on TikTok? I've got the YouTube stuff here. I've talked about some of the YouTube.
Yes, yeah, got lots of good stuff on TikTok. One guy's just spamming the word "what" quite a lot, which is interesting.
What?
What else we got here? We've got people are saying that they are really happy. They really agree with what Holly and Joe had to say.
Yeah.
This one here from Dwift1.
Yes.
If you don't give your kids digital devices, then they'll be left behind in this world, which is something that you touched on in your conversation.
Yep.
We've also got people also noticing an uptake in ads for gambling sites or for alcohol as well.
Yep.
And so this, the idea that the media that we're using is pushing those really addictive.
Take the phones. I mean, but basically, you almost give your phones to your kids as late as possible. I think that's probably the answer.
Yeah.
All right, Isaac, you're the man, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks, bro.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, I'm going to finish things off with this. I reckon the Reserve Bank has to move dramatically next time they review the official cash rate. They just have to be more dramatic. The 0.25 cut wasn't enough. The economy's been choked, and it's now doing irreversible and long-term damage. I've spoken to CEOs about this. They say now is the time for a big cut. They want a big cut. They're desperate for a big cut. The real economy has not just slowed, it's stalled. And even the PM has said, can people please leave their homes and get back to work in these dying CBDs? The PM wants you out spending money because the economy is not only dying in the backside, but in many places there's no heartbeat at all. It's flat and dead, and in some places buried. And it's been by design. We've designed this collapse. We've gone out there and designed it, and we've designed it poorly. Adrian Orr is responsible. We've designed it poorly, and he's responsible. It's been brutal, but it's well past time that we now kick-started things. And Adrian Orr, I think, is leaving it too late. It's hard to get a heartbeat again, so he should just jolt us by cutting interest rates in a really big way. Don't just meddle. It won't work because there's a delay factor. We need him to be aggressive. Try to restart this machine now. The real business leaders say that Adrian Orr has to send a real signal and cut rates by up to 1% and do it as soon as possible. Those in the pulp and paper mill business have shut their doors because the cost of business is too much. It's one thing getting rid of inflation, but it's pointless now inflation has all but gone. But the damage continues. We're just dragging this on. The problem's been erased. The economy is flat. Businesses want some confidence. And retailers want spenders back in their shops. There's only one way to do it. Cut the OCR. Give people some of their money back, throw lower interest rates their way, and allow people to move and start spending again. Businesses will welcome it, and the country desperately needs it. Come on, Adrian, drop the ego and put your country first.
Duncan Garner, live.
Right, that's us. I better get out of here. I'm Duncan Garner. Thank you. I'm the Editor-in-Chief, live with Esther's Oil. The Premier made New Zealand fish oil supplement backed by a study. Support joint, heart, brain health. Use the code Duncan for 10% off. Right now, you can call them, get on the line with them, and it's 10% off. Abouthealth.co.nz. Take as directed, read the label. About Health Auckland. 0800 999 309 is the number. You ring that number right now, mention my name, and you get the fish oil. It's worked on. I don't even wear a brace on my knee anymore. It's good. It's working. I think it's arthritis, joint pain. That is us. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly, or wherever you get your podcast. The new Rover site's good, though. Go and have a look at it. Thanks for your support and your feedback. I'm Duncan at rover.nz to my team. Isaac and Forrester. Thank you, guys. We'll do this again tomorrow. But life is no dress rehearsal, remember, folks. This is it. You live in it. It's no curtain raiser. You're living it right now. We live in one of the best places on earth. Get out and feel it, use it, and enjoy it. Take care. See you tomorrow.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.